All right, so welcome everyone to the Dirty Content Marketing Workshop. I want to thank you guys for joining me for the first ever mini workshop that I'm doing. And I'm just going to go over a few things with you all. So the first part is basically an overview, what you can expect from this workshop. And what we're going to cover is coming up with ideas, creating content, repurposing content, and building a team so you can scale this, okay? By the time we're done with the workshop, you'll know how to turn one idea into 10 pieces of content, and you'll be able to use this workshop to train your content team in perpetuity. So whether you have a junior copywriter or VAs or graphic designers, you'll be able to use this workshop to train them. The content in this workshop is going to be all tactics, no strategy. I will be recording additional content. So for example, conceptual content in bonus modules. They're not really bonuses, but I'm going to record them later. It's not so useful to do it live. Right now, what we're going to do is focus on all of the practical stuff. So if any of you don't know who I am, my name is Nabeel Aziz. I've been copywriting full time for 3 years, and I'm the co-owner of Dropkick Copy. We are a tiny copywriting agency based out of Dubai, and I run it with my brother, who's also my business partner. We both work together on writing copy for clients. And as for me, I have this sort of weird skill stack of direct response copywriting, content marketing, branding slash personal branding, and new media, which is basically what this entire workshop is based around. And I sort of fell into it by accident. And I'm also the author of the as yet to be published Dragon Energy, the Tao of personal branding. In fact, I actually promised myself that I would never release any courses or any paid products until I actually finish this book. So I guess after this workshop, the number one order of priority is getting this book published. So how do I know what I'm about to teach you works? I'm going to give you two examples, and these are two of my clients. One of them is currently working with him. This is Mike Mark, founder of coachingsales.com. We started working together around August of 2019. It was sort of out of the blue. I DM'd him on his birthday, happy birthday, and then this is a tactic for you guys, right? The happy birthday DM. Remember this. So on Facebook and LinkedIn, they tell you when people have birthdays, make sure you wish everybody a happy birthday. Or if there are people who aren't a fit for your audience and people who you don't want to be friends with, use the happy birthdays to unfriend them. So those are the two things that I use the happy birthday notifications for. One, to DM prospects, and two, to unfriend people I don't want to be friends with, because it's so hard to go through manually and unfriend people, okay? So anyway, Mike told me he wanted some help with copy for his social media. We started working together, and in the first 30 days, we doubled his revenue from 30K a month to 60K a month, and we also tripled his ROAS. And then we've been working together for 1.5 years now. Now we're at 300K a month, with the goal of getting to $1 million a month by hopefully the end of this year. And Mike was the one who actually turned me on to one of the benefits of daily content and this content marketing system. Mike noticed that when he would post every day on his social media, his ads would perform better and they would be cheaper. His CPMs, his CPLs, those kinds of things. And when he stopped or lagged or wasn't consistent with his daily content marketing or daily social media, his ads would get more expensive. So that's one of the main benefits of this system, is that it's a magnifier or an amplifier of your direct response marketing. This stuff isn't actually direct response, or even though I call it direct response branding, it's more of a branding play than it is direct response, even though it has direct response aspects. The true value of this system is that by growing your brand, it helps all of your direct response marketing activities perform better and become cheaper. And what that means is you can spend more to acquire a customer, and whoever can spend the most to acquire a customer is the one who takes all the market share. The second case study I have for you is Joel Irway. They call him the mini webinar guy, and he's the inventor of the Power Offer. You can check him out on highticketcourses.com or powerofferworkshop.com. And Joel and I, we started working together around March of 2020. We only worked together for 9 months because he changed his strategy and our service didn't really fit for him. The daily content thing isn't really in line with his brand, actually. So we decided, or he decided, that he didn't want to do it anymore. However, despite only working together for 9 months, Joel had his best year ever. And this was in 2020, right? During the pandemic and the recession and all the lockdowns and all that shit. So he had his best year ever with 50% year-on-year growth. And while we were working together, he had 4 back-to-back record-breaking months. And to top it all off, at the end of the year, he had 550K in take-home profit, all right? And he runs a really tight, small operation because he's more of like a solopreneur. He has a team of subcontractors. He's not not really about building a massive company, but this is a great case study. So now is where we're really going to get started. I got actually quite a few questions from people while I was promoting the workshop about how to come up with ideas. Seems like people have a hard time coming up with ideas. So this part is about where the ideas come from. So part 2, where do the ideas come from? We are going to cover the 3 sources of content ideas, well, at least according to me, where I get my ideas from, how to delegate idea generation to your copywriter when you do delegate your content or copy, and I'm going to show you examples of content created from all 3 sources. So the first source of content is what I like to call content mindset. Now, there's this American author and journalist, documentary filmmaker. Her name was Nora Ephron. Her mom was a thespian, so she was an actress in the theater. Her mom would always tell her everything is copy. Now, this quote is actually attributed to Nora Ephron, but it's actually, and there's a documentary, a biographical documentary named Everything is Copy about Nora Ephron, but it's actually her mom that said it. So in that vein, if everything is copy, then everything is content. So what I'm trying to say is that everything that's inside you or going on around you or happening to you or happening by you is source material for your content. And the very fact that you're breathing and you have a pulse means that you will have ideas for content. And if you don't have ideas, if you find yourself unable to come up with ideas, basically you need to get a life. In fact, the fact that you're unable to come up with ideas means that you're probably living a boring life. And even if you do live a boring life, there's so many opportunities for you, so many events happening around you and to you, so many occasions to come up with ideas for content. It's just a matter of having this thought in your mind that everything is content and I'm looking for ideas to post about. And in fact, if you commit to a daily publishing schedule, you will eventually find yourself automatically operating in content mindset, because you can only generate so much ideas from inside yourself, and you're going to start to look outside of you for inspiration and ideas. Okay. And the simplest post format that builds off of this content mindset is: 1, you tell a personal story; 2, you derive some sort of personal or professional or business lesson from that story, and then you transition into a call to action. And now a call to action doesn't necessarily have to be to sell something. It could be asking people to reply with their own thoughts, to join your email list, to leave a comment, to engage with the post, whatever. And you don't really even need to be a good copywriter or a good storyteller to make use of this format. So story, lesson, CTA, anybody can do it. As you get practice with doing it, you'll get better at it. And in fact, the story sort of short circuits your need to get good at copywriting, because humans are hardwired to learn or engage with stories, learn from or engage with stories. So the more stories you tell, the less good of a copywriter you need to be. The next place I get ideas from are from inside the business, and I get them from the business owner. So with my clients, I typically do a bi-weekly call that's once every 2 weeks, and we generally have an informal conversation. It's more of a chat, really, not like a client call, where I talk to them about what's going on in their lives, what's going on in their business, what their interests are, what's happening with them, what their hobbies are, how things are going, any ideas they have for content. And just from those 2 calls I have per month, they tend to be like 30 to 60 minutes each time. I end up with enough ideas for the entire month. And if you do this yourself and you don't have a copywriter, what I would say is you're going to come up with ideas and generate ideas daily. So I would note those ideas down daily. And when you do produce your content, then you can do it once every other week, or once a week, that kind of thing. I also get ideas from sales calls. So sales calls are great if you have a business where you close people on the phone, because you're able to listen to your target customer and get their hopes and dreams, their pains and fears, their barriers and uncertainties. And you also get angles for your messaging that you would not have thought of by yourself, because the way your prospect or customer looks at your product or service is not the same way that you look at it, because you have the curse of knowledge. I also get ideas from client interactions, so client wins, testimonials, success stories, good or bad client behavior, support tickets, and client interviews. Support tickets can be really great because you're hearing how the client interacts with your product or service in real time, and that could help with coming up with marketing messaging or sales scripts or sales messaging for your product or service. And the final way I get ideas from inside the business is from our team members. So if I want to shout out or show appreciation to a particular team member, that's one idea for a post. If there's anything happening on a coaching call and we have a recording of that, there might be some nuggets in there. Content created by the team is perfect because that makes less work for me. And also we have the team meetings. Sometimes the team members drop gems in the team meetings. And if you have a recording of that, that turns into content as well. And then the third way I get ideas are from outside the business. And that could be from replies and comments in your ads, blogs, replies to your emails, comments on your social media. And often that's one of the most effortless ways of coming up with content for your posts, because invariably, if you have an active social media, you're going to get comments and replies every single day. It's the same if you're running ads as well. So you'll never run out of ideas for content. And then we would do thought leadership, which is commentary on what's going on with our competitors, the industry, and the market. And finally, lifestyle content, or what I call slice of life content, which is posting about family, friends, special occasion, current events, and pop culture. So now we're going to go into examples of these different types of content. So these are from the business owner. The ideas came to me while I was on one of our bi-weekly calls. On the left side, we have one from Mike Mark. So Mike Mark, what he does, he sells sales recruiting and management for coaches, consultants, and agency owners. And when he started selling this offer, he was pretty much the only one in the market, but now everybody and their grandmother tries to sell this offer. So he made a comment to me about that, and then I turned that into a post. Okay. And on the right side, we have Joel Irway. Joel Irway has this thing about when you have coaching programs that focus too much on mindset as opposed to actually helping the people solve their problem. So we were talking about this. It's like, so mindset is like when people are drowning and you're teaching them how to swim instead of pulling them to shore. And I turned that into a post. So these ideas came directly from the business owner on one of our calls. Here's another two examples. On the left side, you can see a post about how Mike Mark met his wife. And I got this from an interview that I did with him talking about his time as a digital nomad. And we went through like a fairly long 30 to 45 minute interview where I got every single detail. And this turned out into a post because he met Adriana on Tinder and then convinced her to quit her job, sell her car, sell all of her things, and then travel the world with him. And he was a guy that she had just met like less than a month ago. So that was a great story. On the right side, you can see Joel Irway. This is something that really happened to him. He joined a coaching program for help with his paid traffic. And while on a coaching call, the coach ended up berating him about his mindset instead of actually solving his problem. So I turned that into a meme, got great engagement, and he would eventually start running this as a hyper organic or a brand ad just to get engagement. Here's an example of content from sales calls. So when you're on sales calls, you're going to have a bunch of objections that come up regularly. In our case, we would have objections or questions about hiring or recruiting salespeople. Mike and I, we compiled all of those objections into a list, and then we got on a Zoom call and I would ask him a question and he would answer on video. And then we got about 12 objections, I believe, and we turned all of those into video clips. And then we compiled all of those videos into a long form article that's got nice formatting. The videos are embedded in the article along with transcript or edited transcripts, answers of those videos. And we send this article to prospects who are on the fence or they need some clarification about our offer. I would say it's this article that we've created maybe more than a year ago. It easily has generated at least $1 million in sales, and it's going to continue to generate sales because it's so powerful. So this is something that you can create from sales calls. This is a good idea if you have a high ticket offer or you do any selling on the phone. What are the top 8 to 10 objections that your market has, and how can you record objection handling videos to deal with those objections? Record the video, compile them into an article, and then you can use that in your marketing. So here we have from client interactions. So on the left side, you can see a post from Mike Mark, and this was a comment that one of our clients or Mike Mark's clients posted in response to one of his own social media posts the previous day. I took that comment, made it sort of like a testimonial, and posted it immediately the next day on social media. And the concept behind this was really, it's the client was talking about how much revenue she generated, but the real nugget in this comment is that she had not taken a single sales call to make that amount of money. And you can tell that the post hit by the comment under the post where this person says, I remember closing 75K in deals on my own in 1 month and run the business, and I wanted to kill myself. Never again. So that's an important point that I sort of honed in on. Here's another client interaction where one of Joel's students or audience members sent him a message or a DM that he was able to close a large amount of business based on the material in Joel's free Facebook group. So I took that screenshot, just uploaded it to social media, added a caption to it talking about how our free material is better than other people's paid material, and our free material is actually making people money, and I just posted it. So here we have content from team members. So the one on the left, well, they're both from MikeMark, but we have a recruiting team and we recruit sales reps. So there is an onboarding process for the sales reps, and this sales rep was being difficult. And Crystal, who's mentioned in this post, she posted this interaction on Slack, a screenshot of the email. I downloaded the screenshot, added a headline to it because what happened, the conversation in Slack was we need to get rid of this person because she was being difficult to work with. And I added a headline and a call to action, posted it that same day that it happened on social media, and it took off. I was not expecting it to do this much engagement, but it did. So it got 90 engagements, 105 comments. The comments blew up because everybody wanted to weigh in, and 2 shares. Okay. Here's another example of team generated piece of content. So because we're dealing very closely with sales reps and coaching and recruiting sales reps and managing them, we have numbers from our clients or coaching sales clients about how much revenue that they're bringing in every single month. So every time we put this list together and post it on social media, it does great engagement, and it also gets MikeMark and coaching sales more deals. So for this or to this post, we can directly attribute sales. And here we have from replies and comments. So this is for another client of mine, Dedicated Developers. They're a mobile and web app development company. And this was a comment on one of their ads. And this person was commenting that building an app is so expensive and apps need to be a lot cheaper. Okay. So he says they make it all sound so appealing, and then drop the bomb on you that it's going to cost almost 20 grand. And 20 grand is like super on the low end for developing an app. So what I did was I went in and I responded to the comment because it's objection handling within the ad and it demonstrates authority. And 2, I use this interaction to write an email for the follow-up sequence for Dedicated Developers lead gen funnel. So that email is running right now, and it will continue to generate booked calls for as long as the funnel is live. Here's another example from replies and comments. So the post that I just talked to you about, the sales rep who was being difficult, and I posted about how to get fired. In the comments of that post, Mike's closer, Dan, commented and posted a video that he had recorded a while ago about salespeople who aren't team players. That video was on his Instagram. I went and downloaded the video from Instagram, edited for social media, added a headline and captions, and then the very next day I posted it on MikeMark's social media as a follow-up to this post on the left, how to get fired. And then here's another example from Joel. So Joel has this thing about sales over marketing and not spending too much time on creating free content to educate your market. And what happened was Joel started ramping up his content. And then somebody commented on one of his posts, hey, listen, you keep telling people to stop educating and start selling and not to produce so much content, but you're posting educational content all the time. So that was a perfect opportunity for us to jump in and handle an objection where we say, yes, you can see me producing content, but that's because I've got my sales funnel locked in and I've got my offer dialed in and my products validated, and I can generate clients at will. So now, since my bottom of the funnel is taken care of, I can start working on the top of the funnel with my content and my educational marketing. Thought leadership. So here's a few examples. On the left-hand side, you'll see MikeMark, and here we're throwing stones at our competitors because competitors are also selling a high-ticket offer, but they keep raising their prices instead of learning how to fulfill the offer better. And MikeMark's and Coaching Sales's offer is, I guess, the most affordable in the market, and because of that, and because their fulfillment is so good, they'll just keep taking market share. So this is a thought leadership post where we're throwing stones at the competition. Below that, you can see a post where an event happened or something happened in a Facebook group, a very popular Facebook group called Traffic and Funnels, where one of the students of Traffic and Funnels was running branded search ads targeting the Traffic and Funnels keyword, saying, don't work with Traffic and Funnels, come work with us instead, because he had a competing offer. One of the founders of Traffic and Funnels posted about that in their Facebook group, and that post blew up. So here was an opportunity for us to comment on it and add our own expertise and thoughts about it. And that really blew up the comments. So Taylor Welch, who is the person who posted in Traffic and Funnels about the student, commented on this post. Tanner Chester, who was the person who was running the branded search ads saying don't work for Traffic and Funnels, came in and commented on this post. And then he ended up blocking Mike, I believe, because he was so pissed off about it. And then a couple of the people who used to work for Traffic and Funnels and are pretty sour about them, the way they do business, came in and commented. And it was just like a massive sort of shit show, I suppose, but it was great engagement. And then on the right, you can see a post from Joel Irway where, again, we're throwing stones at the people who keep talking on and on about mindset. So Joel's an engineer and he's all about making sure that your offer is dialed in and the numbers are right. So here's a post about throwing stones at mindset. It's not mindset, it's math. Positive vibes can't fix poor offer economics. And finally, here are slice of life posts. So Mike Mark is really into hip hop. Whenever stuff happens hip hop related, I'll tend to leverage that into content for Mike Mark. There was a famous rapper who died earlier this year. His name is MF Doom, and I used his death instead of doing like a generic rest in peace post. I used this rapper's story of him developing an alter ego and flipped it into a lesson about alter egos for sales rep. And that got great engagement because Mike has quite a few people in his audience who are also interested in hip hop. On the right side, you can see something from Joel, and Joel is sort of like, his lifestyle posts are more about him being a dad and rucking and things like that and just doing dad stuff around the house. And he had trouble building a swing set for his son. So I turned that into a slice of life post and he's an engineer as well, but it took him like a few days to put this swing set together and he had to recruit his brother-in-law to do it. That was a slice of life post based on him having a hard time building these complicated toys for his son. So recapping this part, everything around you is source material. Everything in and around you is source material. That's content mindset. You got to keep that in the back of your head at all times while you're going through your life. It doesn't always have to be from your business or about your business, okay? And you want to use your lifestyle, habits, hobbies, interests, and personality as much as possible because that is what is going to differentiate you from all of the other competitors who are also posting about the same thing. Because remember, there are very, very few unique offers in this world. Most of what we sell are commodities. So what we do is a commodity, but who we are is unique and inimitable. Nobody can copy who we are. So when you're posting content on social media or to your email list or on your website, go with who you are over what you do as much as possible. And then if you've hired a copywriter to write content for you, you can do a 30 to 60-minute call once every 2 weeks just to go over ideas, talk about your life, talk about what's going on, and that gives them enough material for the entire month. Part 3, going from one idea to 10 plus posts. Here's what we're going to cover. We're going to cover why you need to repurpose your content, how to think about repurposing your content, and how to play to your strengths so that you don't have to be everywhere all the time. Because, okay, even though we're talking about posting daily content everywhere, we are still dealing with limited resources and we need to optimize our resources and use them efficiently. Distribution is more important than creation, and that's for a number of reasons. One, it used to be the case that people would just funnel traffic back to their website, but nobody browses websites anymore. They'll go visit a website for a very specific action and then they're gone. So basically every page on your website is a landing page, and most likely that's going to be the only page that they visit. It's rare that people browse websites, okay? On top of this, platforms don't like links to outside websites, and whenever you drop a link, they're going to ding your reach, which means less people will see the post that you made. And on top of that, the users have their own platform preferences. Somebody who is a fan of Twitter might not spend as much time on Instagram or spend no time on Instagram, but somebody who's on Instagram a lot might not be on Twitter. Same thing goes for YouTube users, people who read email newsletters, people who read blogs, people who are on Facebook, that kind of thing. So if you try to make them consume your content in a way that they're not used to, they're going to default to not consuming your content, which leads to the next point. You are supposed to care about users consuming and benefiting your content. Otherwise, why are you creating it? Spending all this money and all this time to create content, and you just leave it in one format and nobody reads it or watches it or listens to it. And because you're spending money, and even if you're spending time is money, even if you're doing everything yourself, there's $1 per hour attached to that activity. Because producing content costs money, you want your distribution to be as wide as possible so that your CPMs are as as low as possible. And CPM stands for cost per 1,000 impressions, or cost per mil. So the reason why you want to distribute content as far as possible and as many formats as possible is because you want to optimize for in-app consumption. Here's the content repurposing workflow, and this is how essentially I basically do my work. And if we're starting with video, it looks one way. If we're starting with text, it looks another way. All right. So the ideal format when you're using this dirty content marketing system is to start with the video, long form video, strip the audio out of that, then get the transcript and edit that transcript into different forms of text and use that text to create graphics. You can do it in the opposite direction, starting with text first, then going to graphics and then video and audio, but that's extra work. So I'll give you an example of the workflow. Say we record a long form video for YouTube. Then I take the audio of that and publish it as a podcast. Then I turn that audio or get that audio transcribed, edit it into a blog, and then publish that article on our website or our blog with the embedded YouTube video and the podcast audio. All right. Then we can turn that blog and turn it into a tweet thread, which is multiple tweets stacked together. And we could also turn it into an Instagram and LinkedIn carousel, which is the slideshows that you can see on Instagram. Then we can cut short clips of that long form video and add a headline and captions and post those to social media channels. So for example, a 10 to 15 minute video will yield maybe 3 to 5 clips. So on the low side, 3 clips maybe. And then what we can also do is publish the same content with a different spin. So for example, say on one day you publish an article and you send an email out to your list with a link to the article. 2 days later or 3 days later or the next day, you resend that email to the people who didn't open the original email, and you change the subject line and you put the entire article in the email. So that's a brand new form of content. And resending emails to unopens is one of the, I guess, the easiest way to get more views, get more conversions, and just make more money in general. Resending to unopens is pretty much, if you don't do it, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. Home base and satellites, and this means that you're naturally going to have strengths that you want to lean on. Maybe you're good on video. Maybe you're somebody who's great at talking but not so good on video. And maybe you're a pure writer and suck at talking or being on video. What you want to do is you want to put most of your effort on one medium. You might have a preference for a medium in the sense that, say, for example, you love writing emails, or you might see more success with one medium over the rest. Let's say like you're crushing it on Twitter and you can't lose on Twitter, but everywhere else is sort of like mediocre. So you want to put most of your effort on where you're doing well. And because you're repurposing content, you can still have a presence across all channels, and the repurposed content doesn't need to be at the same level of quality. So you have a home base, which is like, for example, your email list or your YouTube channel. And then you have satellites. So Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, that kind of thing. And also, you don't need to use every single media format. If you don't want to use video, don't use video. You can use text only. To recap, the fact that you're repurposing your content and publishing it in as many formats and in as many places as possible means that you care about your audience, because you are letting them consume the content how they want, not how you want. Distribution, i.e. eyeballs, are everything. Getting attention is harder than ever, and you need to use every single means at your disposal to squeeze every single last impression out of your audience. And what happens is a lot of people will hear me talking about producing content for everywhere, and immediately their minds are going to jump to Gary Vee, and they're going to get overwhelmed and they won't do anything. But you don't have to be Gary Vee. You don't have to have a videographer following you, or a live-in videographer following you every single day 24/7, and an entire team behind the scenes generating hundreds of pieces of content a day. Even if you do 20% of what Gary Vee does, that gets you great results. All right. Part 4, creating content isn't the same as growing a platform. And this is so important because business owners will tend to get stuck on this point. What we're going to cover is that growing a platform isn't just about publishing content. And we're going to talk about what really grows organic marketing channels and why you need to think like a pro bodybuilder. So content doesn't actually grow your platform. Now, in an ideal world, the person with the best content wins. Whoever publishes the best content will get the audience. And to a certain extent, I believe Twitter still has that system where Twitter is really a platform about ideas, and whoever is most prolific And the people who are producing the most on Twitter tend to get the audience and producing the best as well. So problem with other platforms is that you have algorithms governing everything. Doesn't matter whether it's SEO, search engine optimization, or social media algorithms, or ad platforms choosing to show certain ads in their limited inventory spots over others. So the algorithms are there for two purposes, because a platform has two goals, right? One, it wants to keep users on the platform, and two, it wants to get users from other platforms, competitor platforms, onto their platform. All right. So that's why you see social media platforms always coming up with the exact same features, and they're competing with the exact same features, because they want to be like, okay, whatever feature you get on this platform, you get on our platform as well. And what you want to do when you're trying to grow your platform or grow your a particular social media account, you want to signal the algorithm through engagement and using all of the new features. For example, Instagram Reels. Whenever you post an Instagram Reels video, you'll find that you get a lot more video views than if you post a regular video on the feed or an IGTV video. That's because Instagram is pushing that particular feature and giving it more exposure than the other features. Now, the problem with growing a platform or growing an audience is that you need to do things that can't be automated and don't scale. And what I mean by that is you have to actually be a human, and you have to interact with people. You have to build relationships. You need to reply to DMs and comments fast. People who engage with your post, you need to reply to them. You need to DM other people, engage with their content regularly, and particularly before and after you post. Because if the algorithm sees that you're being active, it's sort of like a give before you get kind of thing. If the algorithm or the platform sees that you're engaging on the platform before you publish, and then you publish, it's going to be like, hey, let's this guy's being a good sport, let's give him a little bit more reach. And the problem that I find is, and this is the reason why I don't actually do social media growth, is that business owners, they don't want to engage. One, it's time consuming. Yes, I agree with that, and it's a bit of a hassle. But they want to delegate that engagement out, and there's no way you can delegate that engagement out to like a VA unless you have a really detailed and robust way to train them to respond like you would as the business owner. Like, I have a certain way that I respond to people on social media. I can't really train a VA how to do that. It's got to be me doing that. Otherwise, it's going to look automated. It's going to look false. It's going to look fake. And that's what you don't want, because you might fool the algorithm, but you're not going to fool the people, right? So to actually grow your account, to grow your platform, you have to do things that can't be automated and don't scale, which means engagement. You won't be able to grow every single platform or marketing channel at the same time. And I use this analogy here of pro bodybuilders, because pro bodybuilders, when they take performance enhancing drugs, they tend to cycle it. Sometimes they use more, sometimes they use less, sometimes, and it's depending on their goals, right? And they also cycle their training and nutrition to, for example, bring up lagging body parts, a weak body part, or if they're focusing on gaining lean mass, if they want to add muscle or lose fat. So when you're blasting something, you're exerting maximum effort in pursuing that thing, that goal or whatever. And when you're cruising, that's when you leave things on maintenance. So now you can't be 110% on every platform all the time. What you can and should do, unless you have like unlimited resources, what you should do is focus on growing one platform and maintaining a presence on other platforms. Okay, so you're blasting on one platform and cruising on the other platforms. And you can cycle through those platforms if you want to be platform agnostic or platform independent. Or you could just focus on one platform as your main platform and blast on that while cruising on the other. So to recap, content is only one piece of the puzzle. And frankly, to be honest, it might be the least important piece of the puzzle. Algorithms and engagement, i.e. relationships, human relationships, are the other two. I mean, I would say that the relationships are the most important part, because really, who cares about a massive following if the people aren't engaged? And that's the problem with that a lot of social media content creators have, is that they go after followers, but their engagement is shit. And if you want to grow your social media platforms or any platform like your email list or your blog or your YouTube channel, you have to do things that can't be automated and don't scale. And unless you have large amounts of time and money to invest, you won't be able to grow every platform at once. You're going to have to focus on aggressively growing one platform while maintaining the others, and then cycling through if you want to maintain a balance. Part 5, multimedia tools. Multimedia tools even monkeys can use. And here we're going over our tech stack. So I'm going to cover the tools I use and why I use them, who to optimize your tech stack for, and why I call this system the dirty content marketing system. For recording video, I use Zoom. So if I'm recording live video, I can use Zoom, or I might use Restream.io or OBS Studio. And for pre-recorded video, I'll use Descript or Soapbox. And later on, I could send you links to everything, but all of these are Googleable. For recording audio, I'll use Descript or Anchor FM. And really, I'm looking for tools where I can record in-app. So that's why I use something like Descript or Soapbox for pre-recorded video, or Anchor FM for audio, right? For editing audio and video, I use Descript, Headliner, and Capwing. Okay, I use Descript mainly to easily cut segments out of a video. I use Headliner mainly to edit those videos into social media formats, so square or vertical for IGTV or stories. And I use Capwing to make my video memes, which we'll go over in a later section. For transcripts, mainly these days I use Descript because it's a multi-purpose tool. I can, cut the clips, I can edit the transcripts. The transcripts it generates are pretty good, and it keeps getting better and better. But if I really need a manual transcript, I'll use rev.com because it's a little bit more pricey, but you get super accurate transcripts. For graphics and memes, I use Canva and Capwing. And if I need to write up HTML, I know how to write up HTML manually, but if you use this HTML markup editor, you can just drop your text in and it'll mark up the HTML for you automatically. It's a little bit faster, and then you can just clean up the HTML after. Where this will come in useful is, for example, say you're writing emails and you get your VA to do all the email publishing. Now, you could just put it in a Google Doc and do all of the formatting and hope that the VA doesn't make a mistake on the formatting. Or you could give the VA the HTML already marked up, subheadings, bold, italics, bullet points, whatever. Just give him or her the HTML already marked up, and all they have to do is copy and paste and hit send. And we're going to go over why that's important, the copy pasteness of your systems in a later section. And finally, for project management, I use Trello and Google Workspace or Google G Suite. That's where, for example, we have our Google spreadsheets, documents, saving our files, file storage, and things like that. So here's why I use these tools. And I don't use that many tools. I don't even use the Restream and OBS Studio that much. It's just most of the time my tools are Descript, Headliner, Canva, and Capwing. So 4 tools, that's it. And the other tools that I've listed, I use them less frequently. So here's why I choose these tools, right? So dirty content marketing is about speed and not polish. That's the type of content that, 1, is easy to produce at scale, and 2, it's actually the content that works better on social media, because social media is not about polish. It's about being real life. It's about being raw. It's about being rough around the edges. The other reason why I chose these tools is because I am not a techie person. I'm not a video person or a graphic designer. I don't want to spend hundreds of hours learning video editing and graphic design like Adobe Premiere and Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop and all that shit, right? And if I can use these tools and they're easily accessible on the web, so these are all web apps, right? So all you have to do is log in and you can start using the app immediately, and the apps run pretty fast. If I can use these tools, I can build SOPs and then delegate them to VAs. So the simpler the tools are and the fewer tools you use, you're able to delegate to VAs and not have to use specialists. Generalist VA is $3 an hour. A specialist video editor is $50 to $100 an hour. And I can get the VA for $3 an hour to create social media videos using Descript and Headliner at a fraction of the price of using a professional video editor. And finally, it gives me, like I just said, it gives me multimedia capability at a fraction of the cost of having pro designers and video editors on retainer. And we'll go over some of the prices that you can expect to pay, if you go with the professionals. So here's a perfect example of me using the tools in action. And you can go and check out dropkickcopy.com/Mike or dropkickcopy.com/Joel. So these are 2 client case studies that I produced and published on my website. So what did I do? I recorded a client interview on Zoom. Then I imported that recording into Descript and transcribed the interview automatically. I edited the transcript and wrote bullets for it. Then I uploaded the video to YouTube and the audio to Anchor. I published the bullets and the transcript to my blog and embedded the YouTube video and the audio. And then I cut segments from the interview using Descript and edited them for social media in Headliner. Finally, I promoted the case study on email and all my social media channels using the images and clips. And this is what it looks like. Okay, so you can see, you can ignore the other 3 posts, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 posts on just Instagram, not including my Instagram stories. Multiply this by how many platforms you're on. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and email. Okay, if you're on more platforms, well, let's count YouTube as well. So 6 platforms. If you're on more platforms, it's multiplicative. So you can just imagine where one piece of content is turning into, let's say, 6 pieces of content times 6 platforms. One idea is turning into 36 pieces of content. One single idea, one interview, one Zoom call is turning into 36 pieces of content. More actually, because there's a blog post, there's a YouTube video, and those kinds of things. So from one idea, let's say we're going to 40 pieces of content. One idea is going to 40 pieces of content. That's the power of this system. So to recap, your multimedia stack. Creating content fast is much more important than creating content that's pretty, okay? And you want to choose your tools based on how fast you can create content and how easy it will be to delegate a particular activity to a VA. You can easily train a VA to learn a generalist VA on Canva and Headliner and Descript and Capwing. It's going to be a little bit harder to train them on how to use Adobe Photoshop or Adobe Premiere. I haven't actually tried it, but I assume that's the case. Part 6, graphics and video for social media. Here is where it really starts to unravel for the professional graphic designers and video editors. We're going to cover the problem with professional graphic designers and video editors, and then we're going to go over proven image styles and proven video styles. So here's what's wrong with professionals. Now, we're trying to create content for social media, all right? And that's the majority of the content that's being created in the world right now. Like old school production of video and graphics is, I would say that's the minority. I'm sure there's quite a lot going on, but really, if you think about the proliferation and how ubiquitous social media is, the majority of the graphics and video that we need are for social media, right? So you want graphic designers and video editors who understand content marketing and social media. But if they're traditionally trained, they don't actually get it. They don't get direct response principles. They don't get social media principles. They don't understand memification of things. Second, like I said earlier, speed is the most important thing, but pros are slow. I'll give you a perfect example. For coaching sales, we have a designer on retainer. He's really good. Amazing designer. And I wanted some Instagram carousels designed. And I needed about maybe 20 something carousels designed, and I needed them done in about a week. It's been more than 2 weeks and we're still not done. It took us days, several days, almost a week to get like one design approved. Now it's going a little bit faster, but you can imagine, like you need content like today. Like if I give a designer 10 pieces of copy for Instagram carousels, I need those carousels done and dusted today. And when it comes to video editing, you can take a lot from these TikTokers in terms of how fast they're able to produce content. So TikTokers are greater than professional video editors. And we're going to go over a perfect example right now.
Let's see how fast I can do one. My trick also is to hold down the red button and let go when you want to stop filming. That is the best way to get it slick. Okay, let's go. Ignore my mum. Ignore my mum.
So you can see that, right? If you got a professional video editor to do that, that would have taken them like hours literally. And you have to go back and forth communicating, like you need a project management system to get in touch with them, or you have to communicate with email, and then you need revisions done. It takes forever. Whereas instead, this one First, with a phone, create an entire video in a few seconds. All right, so next, we're going to go over proven image styles. And I'm going to show you something, and you're going to wonder why we ever need graphic designers. Now, I have nothing against graphic designers, to be honest. In an ideal world, I would prefer to use them over doing everything myself because, I'm not a graphic designer. I just picked up a few things, learned how to use Canva and things like that. So here's a proven or two proven image styles, all right? And in fact, if you're not on Twitter, I would recommend you get a Twitter account just so you can do this. So you write a tweet, you screenshot that tweet, and then you edit that tweet in Canva, put a nice background on it, or you can leave it even blank, but get it in a nice square format, and then post it to social media on all your other platforms. And look at the engagement on this. Look at the engagement. And obviously you have to come up with a catchy tweet, right? You'll notice something when you're creating content. The content that gets really good engagement is the content that is more of a platitude, aspirational, inspirational kind of content. Whereas the content that gets you sales isn't necessarily the content that gets you a lot of engagement. So you want to keep that in mind. So here's an example. I posted a tweet, fastest way to level up as a man, become a father. Put it in Canva, added a background image. We have these professional photos done. Just grab one of them and look at this. 164 engagements, 25 comments, and 1 share. Look at another one. The most important business decision you'll ever make is who you marry. Choose wisely. 82 engagements, 8 comments, and 2 shares. And look at this. This is a meme, but I put one of Mike's professional photos on it. Feeling cute, might get another client to 1 million later, I don't know. So that's a meme, and I use the image. Now tell me, you don't need a graphic designer for this shit. And look, what are we going for? We're going for speed, we're going for engagement, we're going for actual effectiveness on social media. You don't need a graphic designer for this shit. Carousels. You see these really amazing carousels done by professional designers. Yours don't have to look like that. Here's an example of one I put together on Canva, and this is like a more advanced one. So I've got a smoke background. There's multiple layers to it, all kinds of shit. The thing is, it was done in Canva by me, and I'm not even a designer. And this isn't even a good one. And it doesn't have to be even this complicated. It could be just background color and plain text. This is one that I did for my own social media. The real thing that you're going for is the quality of the content and the information that you're providing in there. What sort of transformation or benefit are you giving the reader or the watcher or the listener? As long as you're delivering valuable information and knowledge and wisdom, they don't give a fuck what the design is like and what the presentation is like. I mean, some people might, for example, if you're on YouTube or if you're on a podcast, audio quality is a really important thing. But in terms of design and polish and things like that, it's not as important as people worry about and most people think it is. In fact, worrying about this stuff is what holds people back from producing so much content than if they just, got a free Canva account and start putting shit together and hitting publish. So here's a cool concept that I haven't actually come up with this concept, but it's a concept that I picked up from the manosphere. Whenever I select photos for my clients, I'm always looking for what I call alpha tells. And, it's the guy with a beautiful woman, her attention is on him. And it's something aspirational, from a male perspective, to have, a beautiful woman on your arm and she doesn't have eyes for anyone else but you. So whenever I pick images, these are the kinds of images that I pick. Even though I have a whole bunch of images to choose from, where I'm always going for the images with these alpha tells. And you can see 3 examples right here. More alpha tells. This one's from Joel Irway. Now, on the left, you can't see his face, but why did I choose this picture? Because Joel's calves are jacked, and those are amazing calves, and calves are an aspirational body part in terms of if guys are into building muscle or weightlifting or things like that. Having good calves is a sign of a strong, virile male. Okay, here's another example of Joel in the gym working out. Alpha tells. What makes a male subject look more masculine? And then there's another example. You might not think this is an alpha tell, but a man with his family is an alpha tell. It doesn't work the other way around. It does not work the other way around. So Rachel Peterson a while ago started running these ads where I'm pretty sure she saw all of these gurus running ads where the creative was guru with his family or the guru with his woman, and she thought she could do the same but just switch the gender. So she had a bunch of ads running where the creative was she's the main subject and the husband or her husband is fawning over her. But the problem is, and I don't know how to explain this really well, but I'll try, it's not aspirational for women. And especially when men see it, they would get turned off as well. Now, I'm assuming most of her clientele are women, but women don't want to simp for a husband. So this is the problem with copying versus swiping. You copy something without understanding the principle behind it and it backfires. Whereas a swipe would be Rachel Peterson seeing these photos of Frank Kern and Grant Cardone, with their wives and family, and reverse engineering that for her context. What is the aspirational version of a wife and a mother in this context that I can use as a creative. In fact, there is no such thing as an alpha tail when you have a female subject. It's something completely different. Now I don't have female clients, so I haven't figured out exactly what it would be, but there is a version of this that is the feminine version of the alpha tails. So proven video styles, like we're not going for the landscape view and the high production value movie kind of shot. We're looking for square or vertical with large eye-catching headlines, high contrast colors, and captions, because a lot of people watch video with the sound off. So that's why the subtitles are important. Those are proven video types. And really there's not that many examples for video, because all you're really looking for is to take, like if you have a standard video dimension, to take it, put it on a square frame or a portrait frame, like a vertical frame, add a large headline and subtitles, and that's what your video is going to be. And you don't need to be or use a fancy video editing software to do this. This is Headline. Okay, I do all of my videos in Headliner. All you do is you upload the video clip, you add the frame, you add the headline, and you add the subtitles. Now, a Headliner generates captions automatically, but the caption or the transcription isn't that great. It might have gotten better, but I haven't used it in a while. And it's slow to make correction because it's a web app and the interface is a little bit slow. So what I do is I will do the transcript in Descript and then cut out the segment of the video that I want in Descript, okay, as well as the subtitles. And then when I upload into Headliner, I also upload the subtitles with it. And the subtitles are already edited by me. So now I don't have to waste time messing around with the subtitles in Headliner. And the real reason why I'm using Headliner is to get the square video or the vertical video. So to recap, professional graphic designers and video editors are slow, and many of them sadly don't get content marketing and social media. If you had the ideal sort of graphic designer and video editor, would be like a TikToker first who learned Adobe Premiere and Adobe Illustrator or Adobe Photoshop. That would be my sort of ideal graphic designer / video editor. The graphics, images, and video that work on social media, you don't need a pro to do those. A pro is nice to have, but you can train a VA to do the same thing, okay? When you're selecting images, you want to look for what we call a direct response, and in advertising, story appeal. I give you examples of the alpha tails, but they don't necessarily need to be alpha tails, right? Whenever you select an image, it's got to be like, when I look at it, I should think, what is he up to or what is she up to? There has to be some sort of story element behind it where the image is capturing a slice or a moment of a larger story. Part 7, how to make direct response memes. Here's what we're going to cover: coming up with the meme ideas, how to make the memes. We're going to watch or see examples of memes that I've created for clients. So it's difficult for me to actually explain how to come up with meme ideas because it involves so much lateral thinking. It looks simple, like when you see the end product, it's nothing. It's an image with a funny caption and everybody laughs and it's hilarious. But it's not actually. And especially if you're trying to create direct response memes, there's added layers of complexity to it. Number one, you have to be a man or woman of the internet. And what that means, you need to keep up with internet trends. 2, in order to come up with a good meme idea, you need to have intuitive, deep knowledge of your product, your market, and pop culture. Because you need to be able to synthesize the creative, the image of the meme comes first and the idea comes second. So what I will generally try to do is whenever I want to make a meme, I'll be browsing through different meme ideas, and then I'll look for one where I could potentially come up with a caption that's related to my client's business that would be funny and entertaining. So the meme image or video comes first and then the idea comes second. And I wish I could explain it to you in a little bit more detail, but there's so much outside the box thinking involved, it's almost impossible to explain. What I would recommend is just consume a lot of memes, one, and start trying to come up with memes on your own. As you get more practice, you'll get better at it. So here are the tools that I use for making memes. The first one is Image Flip, IMG Flip, the meme generator, a website where you can go and select whatever meme image you want and then just add the text. It's quick and dirty. Anytime you want to come up with a quick idea and publish it real fast and you don't want to do any fancy design, you will have the Image Flip or IMG Flip logo or website on it or branding on it. You won't be able to brand it yourself unless you download that meme and then edit it in Canva and add your own branding, okay? Capwing.com is what I use for most of my memes, and they have a lot of image and video meme templates or you can create video and image memes from scratch. It has a lot of good video editing features. Canva is good for higher quality images and video, and if you want to add your own branding, and it has fewer video editing features. Pinata Farms is a new app I don't have an iPhone, so I haven't used it, but it's an iPhone app for making video memes. If you see these video memes where it's like a scene from a movie, or it's those African funeral guys with the song on the background, and they put different faces over it, and the faces are going throughout the video, and they're just moving around with the people. That's Pinata Farms. I don't know how to explain those memes better, but you get the idea, I hope. So this is the Capwing video meme editor, and I'll show you how it looks. So you can see it looks like almost like a professional video editor. You have multiple tracks. You can do a lot of different cutting and pasting and adjusting and things like that. You can add text, you can add multiple video clips, you can resize, change background colors. It's a very versatile app, and I use it for almost all of our video memes. Here's a meme in Canva, and it doesn't have to be anything. So this is not really a standard meme format, but it's the meme idea using Breaking Bad. So you can do this. You can do this with anything. You can use other pop culture references. You can use Batman. You can use The Wire. You can use Game of Thrones. You can use anything you want. As long as it is topical and relevant to your business, you can turn it into a direct response meme. So here's more examples. I'm sure you've seen this meme before. It's a GIF actually of I wish I could remember his name, but he's this British guy and he has a funny video on YouTube that went viral. And this meme is a clip from that video. Okay, so and this guy is British and he has a British accent. So I'm playing off of the British accent and adapting that concept to Mike Mark and coaching sales. So it's the caption is, you would have to say it in a British accent. Man don't need no sales reps in it, cause man ain't got no sales, you get me? So you would have to say it in a British accent. And this had a great response from Mike's audience who was British, which was pretty funny. And then it got Mike binging on this Netflix show that was about British drug dealers or whatever. The one on the right is a very common meme, the Virgin X versus the Chad Y. And here, what you want to do is create juxtaposition of the before and the after. Essentially, what Mike Mark and Coaching Sales are doing is helping business owners go from solopreneurs and lifestyle entrepreneurs to actual CEOs who build a real business. Now, I'm not going to go through all of the text on the meme because that would take too long, but you get the idea. So all of the problems that a lifestyle entrepreneur has by having to take all of the sales calls in their business and all of the side effects and ripple effects that it causes in their business and their life versus all of the benefits of, the Chad CEO, because he's delegated sales calls and he's built a team that he's experiencing all of these benefits in his business and his personal life. All right. And you can see that the engagement is pretty good on these. So on the left-hand side, we have 34 engagements, 12 comments. On the right-hand side, we have 72 engagements and 30 comments. And not only was the apparent engagement good, but whenever you post these memes, you get a ton of DMs of people like basically congratulating you. And then you can use that as a jumping off point for a conversation, potentially to turn those people into leads and then prospects and then clients. More examples on the left. So this one, this one was I made this during the pandemic. So basically, it was the idea that the coronavirus happened because somebody was eating bat soup. So I saw this meme. So this meme is a combination of, when you're involved in memes, it gets really meta really fast. So this is a combination of Peppy the Frog meme, and you guys can Google what that is if you don't know. A Peppy the Frog meme with the Wuhan bat meme, the bat soup meme, and that was the image created. And then this was the caption was really just reflecting on the situation that everybody is in under lockdown. Look on the bright side, your sales reps can still close deals because the deals are being closed over the phone and they don't need to go outside to do it. All right. On the right side, we have this one is also a very popular meme. It's the Vince McMahon like losing his shit meme. And this worked with Joel because Joel had a nice before and after, and his after has a nice like 3 levels to it, 3 of the major concepts that he teaches. So he goes like Joel's main thing is like the ascension ladder and low ticket to high ticket ascension doesn't work, and long form webinars and all those like front end offers and tripwires and all that shit doesn't work. Just make them a power offer, sell them the high ticket thing using 5 to 15 minute mini webinar, and use the perfect expert model to build out your offers, where you start off with the highest level offer. And then as you get more clients and as your business grows, then you build out the the lower level offers, which is basically not the ascension ladder, but the descension ladder. So let's watch some video memes. This is one that I made for Joel Irway's Power Offer workshop. Here's another one I did for Joel. And this is that screaming chipmunk. I don't know if you guys have seen it. This is Dragon Ball Z. Okay, let's watch.
And this, what's he doing? Is to go even further beyond.
This one's a little bit long, so I'm going to fast forward to the end. And that's the call to action. Cuts off right at the end. Let's do one more. So this is the one that I showed you with the Capwing editor. This was the final finished concept, all right? So I edited this video in Capwing, and then I downloaded the video, and then I uploaded it to Headliner to add the headline and the player bar graphic. It's easier than I made it sound. It's easier than I made it sound. And if you notice, this is the remix of the other cat jam or vibe cat meme. The remix of this meme. All right. So those are a few memes that I made. It's easier than it looks. It's when you're making the video memes, it's a little bit time consuming, especially when you're in Capwing and if you're not familiar with video editing tools. But the final product is well worth it. Okay, so to recap, so this is really important, okay? When you're making memes, you can be based or you can be cringe, which is Gen Z way of saying you can be cool or you can be a loser. And you never want to be cringe. And you have to be careful because by the time a lot of memes gets to us boomer marketers, like basically the people on Facebook, like the Facebook entrepreneur types and the LinkedIn entrepreneur types, by the time the memes get to us, they're probably played out and cringe. So you have to be careful about using old memes. You have to only use the freshest, and they call them spiciest memes, okay? Good direct response memes need an intuitive grasp of your product, your competitors, and your market, and as well as pop culture. And finally, there's no formula for making these memes. You just have to pay attention to trends, let creativity and inspiration guide you. You need to experiment a lot to come up with good memes. Part 8, should you use swipe files and templates? So here we're going to cover why I think personally swipe files and templates are a waste of time, when you should swipe, what and how to swipe, and the one exception to using templates that I can think of. So here's the problem with swipe files and templates. I've bought so many swipe files and templates in the past and never used them. Basically a waste of money. There'll be like a PDF of like 1,000 posts that got me amazing engagement. And then like you read like 5 pages and then you close it and get busy and you never come back to it again. What's the point, right? The other problem is that the success of a swipe file can be due to a marketer's or an entrepreneur's relationship with their audience. Email subject lines, for example. And this is a common one with email marketers. They'll do like an email subject line swipe file that they send to their internal list, which is pretty much fucking useless because the internal list already knows you. They already signed up with you. They've built a relationship with your brand. And now every like all of your bullshit, like curiosity, like random subject lines are getting great opens. When if you send it to a cold list, like it would tank and bomb horribly. All right. So you have to be careful with that. Be careful that the swipe file that you're using or reviewing or trying to use isn't based on the reason why that swipe is included, isn't based on a warm relationship with a marketer's or entrepreneur's audience. The only exception to that would be swipe files where there are proven results behind the swipe. So, for example, old advertisements that copywriters use as swipe files. Because when it comes to direct response advertising, the ad has to work because people are spending money to run it. The only reason that people would run it for years and years and years is if the ad was pulling and generating sales. So after a point, you know that this ad works, so we can use it as a swipe. The third reason is that even if you have a swipe, you spend so much time deconstructing and repurposing the swipe and trying to use it for your own business and your own context that you might as well create a piece of content from scratch. So what's the point of having a swipe if I have to spend like a shitload of time figuring out how to apply the swipe to my business? I might as well just create a piece of content from scratch. The swipe in this sense is good if it gives you an idea as a jumping off point, start off point. So in that sense, the swipe is good, but in general, you spend way too much time using swipe files and templates trying to get it to fit with your business. You might as well create something from scratch. When it comes to templates, now I've seen a bunch of offers, like low ticket offers where it's e-commerce templates or email newsletter templates. I saw one offer by this Malaysian, Singaporean email marketer where it was like 365 days of email campaigns. The problem is, one, these templates, I don't think those templates are tested whether they actually work to bring in sales. Two, these templates might have been generic in the sense that they're created for the mass market. So if they're created for the mass market, that means they're average at best because they're written for the masses. And again, like I said earlier, they're untested. And finally, these templates and swipe files are a cash grab. So we marketers do something called selling our sawdust, where it's like we package up the fucking leftovers and then we put it into a product and we sell you that as a product. It sounds like a really shitty asshole thing to do, but it actually makes a lot of money. And it can be useful, like if like an amazing entrepreneur or marketer is selling their sawdust. For example, if Jason Henderson, one of the top email copywriters in the world, he put together like a bunch of templates and a swipe file and sold that as a sawdust, that would be useful for you because Jason Henderson has tested millions of pieces of email and he's generated almost $1 billion in sales. So he actually knows what the hell he's talking about when he's giving you swipe files and templates. But in general, most of these template and swipe file offers are cash grabs by the marketer in question, trying to make a quick buck off of you, and you fall for the proof by verbosity persuasion argument. And proof by verbosity means that I'm basically bludgeoning you in the head with the sheer volume of something such that you think that it must be true if there's so much of it. When you do swipe, okay, you want to swipe high level ideas. You want to swipe to add your own thoughts or commentary, and you want to swipe to newsjack. And newsjacking is like when you ride a current events trend. So this is a swipe. He's taken somebody else's content, in this case Zuby, and he's used it to create a conversation. This was posted in the Clients and Community Facebook group, and this is one of the founders, right? So he screenshotted this tweet, just added a question as the caption, and used it to generate 540 engagements and 240 comments. So that's an effective swipe. And here on the right is my most successful post of all time that did not generate any leads or sales. This was during the pandemic while everybody was working from home. I saw this on the internet somewhere. This is what I do. I'll save an image and I'll repost it to my own social media accounts. And there's this thing about attribution, right? Where it's like, why are you stealing other people's memes without giving them credit? The thing about memes is after a certain point, nobody knows who came up with the original idea. And if you watch The Wire, where Omar says to Marlo, money ain't got no owners, only spenders. Well, when it comes to memes ain't got no owners, only spreaders. So this was just me playing off of a trend, newsjacking. This was me newsjacking. I got this image and then I just added a caption to it. And it got 62 engagements, 16 comments, and 546 shares. Never in my life have I had a post do so well. Here's an example of swiping high-level ideas, all right? So this is the famous David Ogilvy Rolls-Royce ad. You can look it up if you've never heard of it. Here, I'm swiping the idea, and I used it to write the headline for the Power Offer Workshop. And this headline ran as the control for the Power Offer Workshop for a while. Well, this was the tagline of the workshop, actually. The tagline, not the headline. But I wrote a similar version of this tagline as the headline, and that ran as the control. So what am I doing here? I'm taking the concept of this Rolls-Royce ad and I'm applying it to a very different context. So there's the number aspect of it. So 60 miles an hour, $37. Okay. Loudest noise is some sort of benefit or the absence of a problem. And then we're mentioning the relevant benefit as well. And this is hard for me to explain because it's so abstract. However, what I want you to take away from this is the high level concept when you're swiping. I told you why I don't like swipe files and templates, but there is one exception. And that is if you are creating a ton of content for Instagram. And it could be very easy for you to, if you're really going hard on Instagram content, to produce like, 6 to 9, maybe even more pieces of content for Instagram a day. All right. The problem is Instagram is an image heavy format, unless you're doing a lot of video. And if you have a full-time designer on retainer, that might cost you anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month. If you use an outsourced design service, and I just checked this today, you'll be paying anywhere from $400 to $1,000 a month. If you get your own templates designed on Fiverr, it might cost you $10 to $50 per design. For example, recently I got a quote for 10 Instagram carousel templates. So they'd be like individual designs for us using our branding or whatever. So 10 Instagram carousel templates for $250. And that, if you keep on designing graphics like that way, it could get pretty expensive fast. Or there is another option where you could buy pre-designed template packs on Canva, for Canva. And this is an example of that. This is my friend Katya. She has a club where it's sort of like a community, but you also get a whole bunch of Instagram's images, carousels, stories, quote images, like every possible kind of Instagram template that you can think of. She has already got these things designed for you, and they're on Canva. And because I'm somebody who uses Canva a lot, this is valuable to me. And it's only $300 a year if you want to go get it. And you'd essentially be saving thousands of dollars a year in graphic design costs. And if you design all your graphics yourself, you'd probably be saving anywhere from 20 to 30 hours a month on graphic design, okay? Especially if you're not somebody who is a professional graphic designer. If you're like a total newbie like me, this would save you a lot of time if you did your graphics yourself. Or if you were trying to outsource the design, this would save you a lot of money. Now, there are some cons to it, which I'll explain in a second, but if you did want to get this, join the Viral Content Club and get the Canva templates that she designs, and they come up with new designs every single month, you got to go to dropkickcopy.com/Katya, and that's an affiliate link. But if you do get it in this context, if you do a lot of content for Instagram, it'll be well worth the value. It still takes time to use this method because she's giving you content with a template. And now, again, you need to figure out how to repurpose that content idea for your business. And you need to edit the colors and the fonts to fit your brand. And then as well, add your own logos and images, because you don't want to use the stock logos and images. The benefit is, because it's in Canva, you can train a VA to do it after you get the hang of it yourself. All right. And then on top of that, like I mentioned, Katya has invested a lot of money in her own design team. And they come up with new designs every single month. And she's invested, I know at least she's invested, tens of thousands of dollars in producing these designs. And she has over, I think, 1,000 customers who joined the club. So there's a lot of social proof with it as well. All right. And finally, and most importantly, remember I said about the problem with repurposing templates to fit your own business. Katya actually gives you detailed trainings on how best to use her template packs. And it's like the Dirty Content Marketing Workshop, but if it was taught by a chick. Now, the only thing that you want to look out for is don't get fooled by Katya's pink feminine branding. Each template pack has a male color scheme and a female color scheme. So the feminine color scheme is more like pink and bright pastel colors, and the male color scheme is more like blues and grays and those kinds of color schemes. And in any case, you would want to use your own brand colors and fonts. So you'll be changing the colors anyways. All right. So to recap, swipe files and templates. What is the point of buying swipe files and templates if you never use them? Okay, I personally have bought a bunch of swipe files, and I've gotten swipe files as bonuses for courses that I've bought. Never used a single one. The other problem with using swipe files and templates is that creating from scratch takes the same amount of time. So why am I wasting time fucking around with this swipe file or this template when I could come up with my own ideas? The only benefit of the swipe file in this case is to give you the idea as the starting off point. Okay, when you swipe the right way, it actually creates original content, and it's not the same as copying. And if you want to save thousands of dollars per year on graphic design, go to dropkickcopy.com/Katya. Part 9, and we're getting almost near the end here. Building your content marketing team. We're going to cover who to hire when building a content team, how you do project management and quality control with your content team, and how to track your performance and improve it. When you're hiring for a content team, this is how I would recommend that you do it. I've done this myself. So for example, for the past year and a half, while working with Mike Mark in coaching sales, it was just me, a VA. I would do all the content and graphics and video, and the VA would just post it. And ever since I started managing a team, now I have a copywriter under me. Plus I've started using a graphic designer more, and we have the VA publishing content. So what I would recommend, let's say you're the business owner, right? I would go with a junior copywriter for turning your ideas into copy. So you two would would do the bi-weekly calls, and you would send them all your client interactions and testimonials and wins and things like that. And you would also give them ideas for content from your side. Okay. Plus you would have the bi-weekly calls that the copywriter can use to come up with ideas. All right. So you have the junior copywriter for turning your ideas into copy. You would need one generalist VA to use the graphic and video tools. So Canva, Descript, Headliner, Capwing that you're going to use regularly. And you'll use one generalist VA to handle all of your publishing. So this VA would manage your social media scheduler if you're using one, publish blogs on your website, would send out your emails, would upload videos to YouTube and podcasts and so on. All right. One VA for publishing, one VA for graphic design and video editing, and one junior copywriter for writing all the copy. And they would all be full-time. And my estimate of this is that it would cost you between $4,500 a month to $7,000 a month for a junior copywriter and generalist VAs. Now, I'm specifying generalist VAs because business owners will make the mistake of trying to hire specialist VAs who know like Adobe Premiere, Photoshop, who are WordPress experienced and things like that. You don't need that. When you build the systems yourself, you can go with the generalist VA and you'll be saving a bunch of money in doing so, because a generalist VA is somewhere from $3 to $5 an hour. A specialist VA could be anywhere from $8 to $10 an hour. All right. So the cost of this 3-person team is anywhere from $4,500 to $7,000 per month. When you have this team, you must invest in their training and development. That means buying courses for the copywriter, having very detailed SOPs and coaching for the VAs, and buying courses for the VAs as well. Investing in, for example, outside copy chief to look over some of the junior copywriters' copy, that kind of thing. And if you want recruiting help, I would recommend that you talk to Mike Mark and the coaching sales team. They primarily recruit sales reps for coaches, consultants, and agency owners. However, they also recruit other roles, operations managers, VAs, client success, and even now, surprisingly, they've even been recruiting copywriters for their clients. So they can help you recruit for any role that you want. So if you need generalist VAs and if you need a junior copywriter, I would recommend you talk to them, because their fulfillment team already has the systems in place for recruiting, and they place hundreds of people on client positions per month. They're going to save you a shitload of time. And also, because they're saving you time, they're also going to save you money. Not only that, if you try to do the recruiting yourself and you make a mistake, that's direct recruiting costs that you've lost, salaries that you've paid that you've lost, opportunity costs that you've lost, and potential, months of lost revenue that you've lost. So the opportunity cost of trying to do it yourself and getting it wrong is massive. So rather than go through the long hassle of trying to find and recruit copywriters and VAs yourself, just go through somebody who does it as their job every single day. Managing a content team. I used to use Google Sheets when it was just me and the VA, but now I use Trello because it's easier for coordination and communication, and it's easier for me to see things at a glance where everything is. And just for some reason, it actually makes the VA feel a little bit more comfortable for some reason, and also the copywriter. It could be the way that the board is arranged and the way the cards are. Like going into Google Sheets and clicking on cells and opening up cells, it can sometimes be a little bit intimidating. And then you want to make sure that you reuse as much copy as possible. Don't write an email and just send it as an email and that's that. That's a waste of content that you just created. So ways you can send an email. You can send an email as an entire article. Say you've written an article, right, for your website. You can send the entire article as an email, or you can use intro, bullets, and a call to action link to get people back to your website. The email copy can be reused on Facebook almost exactly with minor modifications because there's no restriction on content length. Then the Facebook copy can be summarized for Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter because of the character count limit. Mostly what I will do is I'll optimize or I'll summarize it for LinkedIn, and that way I get Instagram as well. But if I summarize first for Instagram, then I have to, if it's still like 2200 or 2000 characters, I'll still have to summarize it again for LinkedIn. And then you can use the article copy or the Facebook copy and create a tweet thread out of it, which is basically just a whole bunch of 280 character tweets stacked up on top of each other. This last one is super important. A VA is going to do exactly what you tell them to do, nothing more and nothing less. Do not make your VA think. Every single thing that the VA should do, it should be copy paste until you're comfortable enough with them that you can give them more complex work and more creative work. So I'll give you a perfect example, right? I'm working with our graphic designer for these carousels. He's putting them in a Google Drive folder, and let's say there are 10 images per carousel. He's naming the carousel images weird names. Just like an example, artwork 5 underscore artwork underscore 9. Instead of just naming them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The problem is, okay, if I was the one who created the carousel copy and I looked at the design, I can immediately see, okay, this is the first slide, this is the second slide, this is the third slide. And if the designer looks at the folder, he can also see because he did the design. This is the first slide, this is the second slide, this is the third slide. But what happens when a VA comes in and looks at the folder, they were not involved in writing the copy, they were not involved in creating the design, and all they have to go by to find the order is looking at the file name. This is a perfect example. So I had to actually go, it took like several messages back and forth with the graphic designer. Please number the files for a carousel, just 1.png, 2.png, 3.png, up to 10.png, so that when the VA comes in, they know exactly what the order is of the file and they don't have to think about it. Because if they have to think, they'll make mistakes. So that's something that you got to pay attention to. Here's what the editorial calendar looks like. Now, if you go to dropkickcopy.com/editorial, I've created a Trello board template for you guys that you can copy and paste with one click. All you have to do is on the top right, you click on show menu, and then you click on more, and then you click on the button, the copy button, and then just follow the instructions. Okay. I've actually, if you bought the content marketing workshop, the Dirty Content Marketing Workshop, I've sent you an email about it already with the link for the one-click calendar installation. So this is what it looks like. All right. There's a bunch of lists, and each list is sort of like one stage of your content workflow. Way on the left-hand side, we have the resources list, and that's where I put all of the templates and SOPs. So each card is a content idea. If you want to make a new content idea, all you would do is go to that template card and make a card out of that template. And automatically it's got populated with a description and all the other things that you need. And then we have SOPs for people who haven't used Trello before. For example, for the copywriter, we have formatting, how to format Trello cards, how to create new content cards, how to edit the carousel copy template, how to publish a post. That's for the VA, how to publish a post using from the Trello board. And then for the designer, I actually had to make an SOP for the designer because he wasn't naming the folders and the files right. So I recorded a video telling him, look, this is how I want the folders named, and this is how I want the files named. So then we have the idea pool. Now, this is where you're going to drop all of your ideas, unless you use like Evernote or something like that. But anyways, Trello has a mobile app. I would recommend you just drop your ideas in this idea pool here. Anytime you have an idea, just open up the app, drop an idea in the idea pool. Now, the copywriter is going to take these ideas and move them into the writing pile when they're writing. When they're done writing, they're going to move them to the editing pile. Then you come in and you check the copy in the editing pile. And as soon as you're satisfied with the copy after giving your feedback and the copywriter making any revisions, then you can move it to the graphics and video pile. That's where the graphic design VA or video editing VA will come in and create the graphics in Canva or do the video in Headliner or Descript or whatever. And then once the graphics and video are done, now you can move it to ready to publish. When you move it to ready to publish, then you can tag your social media manager VA and add the deadline. And then as soon as the VA publishes it, he or she will move it into the published list. And then at the end of the month, what I do is I create new lists for the month and I move all of the content that was published during the previous month into that month. So right now you can see we're publishing content for June, and all of the content that was published in May is moved to the May list. And there's a final list way on the right hand side called Not Our Style. And that is, while we're working with a junior copywriter and she's taking a little bit of time to get up to speed. When you hire a copywriter, you make the mistake of thinking they're going to be 100% on point from day one. That's not the case. You have to give the copywriter time and coach them so that over time they manage to get your voice, are able to communicate the way that you do. Okay. So the not our style list is for posts that are ideas or concepts that are really not in line with the brand of coaching sales, this is the editorial calendar for coaching sales. This is what a card looks like when you open up one of the Trello cards. And here I'm talking about optimizing for VAs because this is the most important part of your content marketing system or a content marketing team. If you look on the left, you'll see how I've laid out the description in a Trello card. It's super clear. There are links to external documents. All of the links are neat and they have anchor text. It's not messy is what I want to say. It's neat and organized, and it has every single thing that the VA needs to just click, copy and paste. And that includes specific instructions on how we want, for example, the Instagram stories to be done. So this is how you want to optimize things for VAs. You want to make sure that it's just straight up copy and paste. And on the right side, you can see, like, we put the email and social media captions in a Google Doc, right? And let's say we write a post, like we write an email, and then we also repurpose that email for Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We have 4 different versions essentially of the same post. Why? Because all we want the VA to do is copy and paste. You want to come in, upload the image to Instagram, copy the Instagram caption along with the hashtags, put it in the Instagram app, hit publish. That's all. Don't want another thing. LinkedIn, same thing. Facebook, same thing. Email, same thing. So by optimizing for the VAs and thinking about it from the VA perspective, you're going to minimize a lot of mistakes when you work with a content marketing team. This is the copy checklist. And when you're working with, or any copywriter, not just a junior copywriter, this is how you maintain quality control. And I came up with this because I started working with a junior copywriter. I needed to figure out a simple, fast way I can copy chief or offer or get them to edit themselves when they're writing copy, right? So this is a 5-part copy checklist. And the first item on the checklist is the subject line or the title, if it's an article, or when you write a social media post, if you write it with a title, the subject line or the title has to have a benefit, curiosity, and specificity. Curiosity on its own is not good enough. Curiosity gets clickbait clicks. It doesn't get buyer clicks. It might get buyer clicks in the beginning, but after a while, if you only lean too heavily on curiosity, you are going to lose the audience, your highest quality audience, because they're going to understand that you are somebody who sends them clickbait. So whenever you have a subject line, curiosity is good. Curiosity plus benefit is better. Curiosity plus a specific benefit is the best. And the second item on the copy checklist is that the first line should grab them by the throat. What this means is too many writers, not just business owners who aren't copywriters, but copywriters as well, they will tend to waffle. We call it clearing your throat. And those are a bunch of like random useless sentences to like do a warm up before they actually get to the point. James Altucher has this really cool writing tip where it's like, write whatever you want to write and then delete the first and the last paragraph and that's your piece. Why? Because the intro is usually like a bunch of warm up and then the conclusion is really just a bunch of summarizing what they've already talked about. And you don't need either of those things. And by doing that, your piece becomes shorter and it has better writing in it. So now, first line, grabbing them with the throat means like grabbing them by the throat. The first line should be really punchy and it should be almost like, how in movies and TV shows, like at the start of the episode, you'll see like they'll start in the middle of the action. That's actually a concept called in media res, where it's a Latin phrase. It actually means in the middle of the action. So you want to start your email or social media post in the middle of the action. For example, if you think about posts that I shared a screenshot with you earlier about Mike Mark meeting Adriana on Tinder, okay? The first line was, we met on Tinder. There was no intro about how he was on Tinder for so long and he had not that many matches and it was sucked and he almost quit using Tinder, and finally one day out of the blue he swiped right on a girl and then she swiped right on him. None of that shit. We met on Tinder. Grab them by the throat. You don't have a lot of time to get their attention. They're scrolling, okay? You need to stop them from scrolling, and that's the hardest thing you have to do. The next item on the copy checklist, you need to either in the first sentences or in the first few sentences tell the reader what is in it for me. Make sure you get to the point fast, because if you don't, you're going to lose them. And the best way to get their attention and keep their attention is to provide them with a benefit and show them that there is value in them continuing to read what you wrote. And that doesn't just apply to text, it applies to video and audio as well. The 4 out of 5 of the checklist: short sentences, short paragraphs. This is a huge problem with novice writers. They will write long, complex sentences, and they will write paragraphs with walls of text. You have to understand that most people read on mobile phones now. You need to optimize your copy for mobile phones, which means short sentences and, ideally speaking, 1 sentence paragraphs, 2 at the most. 3 is pushing it, because you want to make it easy for people to read what you write. If you write a normal sized paragraph, which is like maybe 3 to 5 sentences, average length sentences, and somebody reads that on a mobile, that's going to look like a wall of text, and that's not what you want. People skip walls of text. You want short sentences and 1 sentence paragraphs, so that like they're able to skim and absorb the sentences like blink of an eye as they're scrolling. Okay, and that's going to keep them scrolling down, and that's how they get to the end of whatever you wrote. And finally, maybe this is the most important one, it's following the rule of 1. And the rule of 1 is a copywriting principle where when you're writing a marketing message, you want to write to 1 reader, you want to write about 1 problem, you want to write about 1 solution to that problem, and then you want to ask for 1 action. To give you an example, 1 problem would be save money or save time, but not save time and money if you can get it. Don't think about writing to your niche, let's say agency owners. Don't think about writing to agency owners. Think about writing to Nabeel Aziz, the co-owner of Dropkick Copy. That's 1 reader. And then 1 solution and 1 action is obvious, all right? You want to make sure that you're only selling 1 thing in an email, not 2 things, and you want to ask them to do 1 thing. Don't ask them to follow you on social media, reply to this email with a comment, and book a call. Just ask them to reply to the email, or just ask them to book a call. Tracking performance, okay? Now, business owners will make the mistake of measuring performance by engagement and things like open rates. Those are soft metrics. The only reason that you need a good engagement and good open rates is that you want to make sure that your reach and distribution are high. That's the only reason for them. High engagement, because that means the algorithms will give you preferential distribution and show your content to more people. Open rates high, so that your emails don't go to spam. The more important metrics to track, especially if you run a consultative selling business, are email replies, messenger conversations, and booked calls. Now, I have manually tracked engagement on a spreadsheet so that we can use our top performing posts in other pieces of content like ad copy, landing pages, email follow-up sequences, etc. And on top of that, in order to track the performance, if we need to send people to our website, we use Google Analytics combined with UTM metrics. And you can Google UTM metrics, but it's basically just some additional code that you add to the end of your link to track what the source of the traffic was, what the campaign was, that kind of thing. This only works if you're actually diligent about it. Every single link that you use should have UTM metrics on it. And if you're somebody who's not familiar with Google Analytics, I would actually recommend you hire someone to set everything up for you correctly and build the systems for doing that correctly. I tried to do it myself, and yeah, we kind of have okay data, but really it's not that great because I'm not an expert at it. So let's take a look at, so this is what our engagement tracker looks like. I'm tracking Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and engagement in our Facebook group. Eventually I just stopped because I stopped tracking on Instagram and LinkedIn and the Facebook group because we weren't getting that much engagement. I'm mainly tracking Facebook. And what we're doing is we're tracking likes, comments, and shares. And there's a total engagement score that's weighted. So a like is 1 point, a comment or a share is 2 points. So if a post has 1 like, 1 comment, and 1 share, the total score will be 1 + 2 + 2, which is 5. What this allows you to do is build lists like this. So these are the top 20 performing posts, Mike Mark's Facebook account over the past year, from May of 2021 back to March of 2021, I believe. And what we can use these for now is use the copy and the creative as ads. Either we could do just engagement ads, what people sometimes we'll call hyper organic, or we could use it as direct response ads, because we already know that this copy and this creative has traction somehow with our target audience. It's not 100% accurate, but it's better than starting from nothing, like just writing a random piece of copy and creative that you've never tested before and running it to a cold audience. At least we know that this piece of content has actually performed pretty well. And here's a screenshot of the Google Analytics with UTM tracking. You can see that broadcast and autoresponder means that it's from an email. Lead magnet is also a source. We have UTM links for the blog and the podcast and the YouTube channel. So like this, I can see where the traffic is coming from, whether it's, for example, if it's from an automated email or it's a broadcast email, and I can see which campaign the traffic is coming from. For example, if it's traffic to our funnel versus traffic to our content. And I can also tell the content that the traffic came from. So for example, I can tell that it was from yesterday's email as opposed to email from last week. So to recap, when building a content team, you can build a solid content team with a junior copywriter and 2 generalist VAs if you invest in their training and development. VAs do exactly what you tell them to do, nothing more and nothing less. And you want to make sure that there's no room for error by making your systems based on copy paste. The important metrics that you want to track are DMs, so private messages, email replies, and book calls. And less important would be engagement, follower growth, and open rates. So we've come to the end of this workshop. What I would like for you to do is, first of all, let's recap the entire workshop. So the most important thing to take away from this is content mindset. Everything in your mind and everything that's going on around you is source material for your content. Don't overthink things. Speed is everything. Speed is more important than looking pretty. Speed is more important than perfect grammar, beautiful designs, any of that. Distribution is more important than content creation, okay? I would rather you create 10 pieces of content a month and get distribution across like 10 different platforms rather than creating 30 pieces of month for month, one platform, because distribution is more important. Because you're trying to build a system and a team around the system, you want to use a few tools and you want to use the simplest tools possible. Tools that even a generalist VA can use, okay? And finally, I don't know, I've been doing this for like a couple of years now. I have no idea which post is going to do well and which post is going to bomb, and neither will you. So because you never know which post will bomb and which post will take off, your best strategy is to just be prolific and keep publishing every single day. So now we're finishing up. What I would like for you to do, if you found this workshop valuable, okay, please go to gumroad.com/library, click on the Dirty Content Marketing Workshop course, and then leave an honest review of what you think that this workshop should get, okay? All right, let's continue. All right, so if you want to talk about working with us, everything I just described to you, I offer it as a service. In fact, all of the examples that I've given you are from stuff that we've done for our clients. I still work with Mike Mark. I don't work with Joel Irway anymore, but I have other clients who are similar. If you're interested in working with us and you want to talk about what that would look like, send me a DM on social media or email me at nabeel@dropkickcopy.com. Important things I want to mention: we are copywriters. We are not a social media marketing agency. So we don't actually do any design in-house, and we don't manage social media accounts. That's the most important thing. It's like what I would never actually do it, even if I did decide to become more like a social media marketing agency, because managing a client's social media account is hell. They'll eat your head. Okay, I've seen it happen with clients of mine that we subcontract for. Okay. Finally, we are cheap. Our retainers start at around $3,000 a month, and that's for sending 3 emails a week to your list. Just one platform. That's it. Email marketing. Okay, 3 emails a week to your list. That's $3,000 a month. That's the bare minimum. That's where we start at. If you want to add more content or more platforms, it goes up from there. So that's if you guys want to work with us. I'm really not going to do like a whole long sales pitch. If you want to work with us, talk to me on social media or send me an email. All right, now I've got some time for Q&A, and I see some questions in the Q&A box. Okay, so Nick asks, can you please address who is scripting and making the video? Okay, now I assume what he means is who comes up with the script for the video. If you're the business owner and you have your own ideas, what I would recommend is to script and record the video yourself. Okay, if you delegate idea creation or idea generation and writing scripts to a copywriter, what I would do to start off with is do it together with them the first few times, where you can do this on the bi-weekly calls. And I do this with Mike to this day, actually, where I'll get on the marketing call with Mike, and then he'll tell me ideas that he has for promos, like emails or webinars or sales letters and things like that. And he'll go over the broad points. And then I have the recording of that call. I listen to it back again if I need to. And then I do the copy on my own. So if you can do that in the beginning, at least, it'll be much easier for the copywriter to come up with the scripts themselves. Otherwise, you have to do it yourself. And eventually, once the copywriter has more experience and they know more about your product and your market and you as a person, as a business owner, they'll be able to write the scripts themselves without any prompting from your part. Next question. How much money can we charge for such daily content creation on a monthly basis? Well, it really depends on your experience, how good you are as a copywriter, number one. I can't really give you a good answer there. It could be as low as $1,000 a month. It could be as high as $10,000 a month. It really depends on your experience and your ability to generate results. The more results you can get, obviously, the more you can charge. I have a question from another anonymous attendee. How many clients can this team handle? We have the capacity, or you're talking about the team in general. If you're talking about Dropkick Copy, we have the capacity to handle about 4 to 8 clients, depending on how much work we're doing for them. If you're talking about a team of a junior copywriter plus 2 generalist VAs, it really depends on the experience and efficiency of the copywriter and how long they've been doing it. They could potentially handle up to 4 accounts if they're really efficient with their time. But that would be pushing it. Anything at 4 and above would be quite difficult for them to handle. If you're thinking about, for example, building an agency with this kind of offer and building a team around it. And again, it will also depend on how good your onboarding and training is and how good your systems, the way you build the systems are, so that you can efficiently manage multiple clients on this offer. So we have a question from Naveen. He says his question is twofold. How do you package your services at Dropkick Copy? I provide social media management and content marketing, but love how you package yours. The reason for asking, quite a few of the examples you showed were social media posts. Yeah, I charge a flat retainer for our work, and it's daily content everywhere. So it's really just they pay me a flat retainer every single month, and I take care of everything. So I take care of creating the content for email, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter if they're on Twitter, and then articles on the blog, writing show notes for videos and podcasts and things like that. So depending on how much they want from me, I'll adjust the retainer accordingly. Now, if they have a lower budget, I will set a limit on the deliverables. For example, just last week, I pitched a potential client on email marketing. So I quoted him a certain retainer for 30 daily emails, 30 emails a month or 31 emails a month. And that was a little bit outside of his budget. So I suggested a lower retainer for 3 emails a week. And that's what he went for to start off with. Okay. So depending on how much work you have to do, you have to adjust the retainer accordingly. Okay, so Darren asks, long form content, how long is that? 2 to 3 minutes, 5 to 6, longer? Yeah, so that depends really. I would say long form is anything more than 10 minutes. That sounds a bit weird and it's really just because of attention spans, right? Attention spans are short. I would say that anything that's optimal for YouTube is like over 10 to 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes or over. And it goes, it could be like a 1 hour long thing or a 3 hour long thing if you're like Joe Rogan or something like that, doing a long ass interview. All right. When I say long form, what I mean is that you want to cover a particular subject in enough depth so that you can do all of the repurposing steps. So getting the audio and uploading to a podcast, getting a transcript, a long enough transcript for the blog. So here's a good example. If you talk for 10 minutes, that's 1,000-word article, approximately 1,000 to 1,500 words. So in that sense, you don't want to make content that is super long, because when you convert it into an article, that makes the editing process really cumbersome. So if you make a 30-minute video, that is 3,000 to 4,500 words that the copywriter has to now edit down into an article. So you want to stay in that sweet spot of like 10 minutes to 20 minutes, that kind of thing. All right, 10 to 15 minutes, I suppose. Javiria asks, how can solopreneurs use the system to get maximum out of it? So that's what we went over, Javiria, from parts 2 to 8. The entire system, I built the entire system so that you can do everything yourself, because I was doing everything myself. The reason why I chose these tools, Canva, Descript, Headliner, Capwing, is so that I could do everything myself. I only recently, just 2 months ago, delegated to a team where I'm now the copy chief and / marketing director. So if you use all of these tools, you can do everything yourself. So for example, you can record a 5 to 10 minute video on your mobile phone. It could be live to Instagram or Facebook. Save that video, cut the audio out, make the transcript, make the clips, make infographics or carousels. All of that stuff you can do by yourself. And all you need is a mobile phone and your laptop. And then obviously you aren't going to be able to put, like, you have limited time, right? So you aren't going to be able to put out hundreds of pieces of content per month. But like I showed you, one idea turns into more than 10 pieces of content. So all you need are 10 ideas and you have content for the entire month. Or, you need 3 ideas and you have content for every single day. 3 ideas, 30 pieces of content. That's at the bare minimum. But I showed you with the example of the case study where one idea turned into 40 pieces of content. And I did that all myself. You can do it too. Naveen asks, how do you directly connect client results to your efforts? Okay, that's a great question. So what am I looking at? Remember I mentioned how content marketing, or in this case, what I call direct response branding, has an effect on the actual direct marketing efforts. So what I like to look at, and I actually prefer working with clients who are already running paid traffic because they understand what it means to invest in their marketing and they're not looking for clients for free. Like there's a lot of people who only do organic, who try to hire market. They want the benefits of marketing, but they don't want to invest in their marketing. Okay, so that's a problem. So what I look for in connecting the results of what I do to my clients' business is I'm looking for, are the CPMs getting lower? Are we getting leads for cheaper? Is our sales cycle getting shorter? Is our cost of acquisition getting lower? Are we getting more booked calls per week through inbound inquiries? Those are the kinds of things that I'm tracking. And from time to time, I have posts where I directly know that this post closed a client that paid us $10,000. For example, the top 10 sales reps post I shared a screenshot of. So Mike told me that whenever we post this, we get booked calls from it. And recently, maybe as recently as 2 months ago, one of those posts led to a deal close. We'll keep going. I have more time for questions. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Just a quick poll. Well, here's a great question. Karima asks, my client is a woman who is funny, but I don't think she'll do memes. We've been doing reels. What else do you suggest we could do to bring her personality out on social better? That's a great question. You don't have to use memes. Memes is something that I like to use because it's something that I gravitate to and my clients have been open to it. What I would suggest is if you look through Mike Marks and Joel Irway's Facebook accounts, you'll see all the memes that we've published for. You can show your client the engagement that these memes have gotten, and they might be more, or she might be more inclined to do memes with you. Reels are good. The thing about Reels is, and TikToks, like you want to be careful about being a clown. So I see a bunch of female entrepreneurs like on TikTok, right? And all they're doing are these fucking TikTok dances. Like, what does that have to do with your business? You have to be careful about that. You still want people to take you seriously as a business owner. Like, you don't want to be a clown. You could do Reels, you could do Instagram stories. It could be as simple as like shooting a 15-second Instagram story of your client getting her morning coffee or dropping her kids off at school, that kind of thing. As far as the personality goes, what I would suggest that you do, like if you're talking about the content that you create, trying to bring out the client's personality, I would suggest doing the bi-weekly call as a regular thing where you and her catch up, have a chat, ask her about what's going on with her life, what's going on with her family, her business, what she's doing on her off time, in her spare time and things like that. And like that, you're going to get a ton of ideas that will, for content that will actually expose and reveal her personality more. Karima asks, is it possible time-wise to do both content and copy for a client? I don't make the distinction. I used to make the distinction when I was less experienced. I used to have this chip on my shoulder about, oh, this is content writing and this is copywriting. But like I said, I quoted Nora Ephron's mom, everything is copy. So there's no distinction. Now, in terms of deliverables, it really depends on what your client has hired you for. It so happens that this content offer is the offer that's converting that my clients want to buy from me. So I'm doing this. But really speaking, I am a direct response copywriter first and foremost. I've written sales pages, sales emails, promotions, ads, those kinds of things before. It just so happens that I can add more value to my clients' businesses by focusing on this aspect of copywriting as opposed to the hardcore direct response stuff. That doesn't mean that I don't do it for my clients. It's just that my main task when working with them is this, organic content marketing. But I do write sales pages, mini webinars, landing pages, websites, website copy, email automations for my clients. In the past year alone, I've written like 2 sales pages, 5 mini webinars, like a shitload of emails, a shitload of ads, all direct response stuff. Dino says, Nabeel, this has been terrific. Thanks for providing a great flow and a really clear set of insights and guidance. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Have to jump on another call now. Thank you, Dino, for coming. I appreciate your time. So this is also something that, like, if you're a copywriter or a content writer, you need to be able to understand these things. Your job is not just to write words. Your job is to also understand these aspects of marketing. And if we came from an advertising background, this would be completely expected of us, but most of us come from a digital marketing, online marketing kind of background when we got into copywriting. So a lot of us don't know these things. So how to pick creatives that go with the copy. That's a valuable skill. And it's something that I sort of picked up by practice and trial and error. And I have my own, ideas for how to pick images. Those might not be like, you might have your own preferences on what kind of images to select. How do you segregate your content bucket? So Karima asks, how do you segregate your content bucket? Karima, could you elaborate on what you mean? Okay, that's a good question. So Karima asks, do we have content pillars or content themes for different days of the week or times of the month? We don't, or I don't. One, because I'm not that organized, and I generally create content at the last minute. So when I was the only one creating the content, I was doing everything, on the day that it had to get published. But now that I have a team, we pretty much create all of our content a month in advance. So the only way we editorialize our content is like the first half of the month is purely for engagement and sort of making deposits, like emotional deposits, like deposits into the emotional bank account. And the second half of the month is for hard sells. So what we like to do is we like to do engagement content in the first half of the month. And then in the second half of the month, we do like a soft kind of mini launch, a 2-week kind of promotion. And it works a lot better if the client has more than one product or offer to sell. So in Mike Mark or Coaching Sales case, they sell closers, they sell sales development representatives, they sell VAs, they have a mastermind coaching program. So we have like 4 or 5 offers that I can cycle. And so what we do is the last half of the month is all selling. It's not that we won't sell in the other parts of the month, but the focus in the second half of the month is the sales. Karima also asks, what's the client submission and approval process like? We don't have one. I typically will only work with clients who are willing to leave me alone and let me do my thing. In the beginning, they might have to review the content just to make sure that you can do what they want you to do and that you have some ability to get close enough to writing in their voice and to see if the content that you are creating is in line with their brand. But after a while, they shouldn't have to check anything. They should be able to just let you do your thing. When I work with Mike, maybe he checked the content only for the first month, and after that, ever since, he's never checked any of the content. He doesn't even know what's getting posted. With Joel, it was the same thing, except that after a while, I generally like to be very aggressive and push the boundaries, take risks when I post content. And Joel is a little bit more risk averse and a little bit more conservative. So he doesn't like pushing the boundaries and being so aggressive with the content. So after a while, I had a few posts disapproved, and he started to want to manually review every post that went out. But I had to, talk to him and say, listen, that's really just going to slow us down. The easiest thing that you can do is you have to manage the business owners or the client's expectations and say that, listen, I am going to make mistakes, and it happens. You are going to make mistakes. I'm going to make mistakes, and the best way for us to work together is that if you just point out that this is not the kind of content that you want, and then going forward, I won't post that kind of content again. But going through all of this manual review process, I need to review and approve every single piece of content before it goes out. It's a waste of time, and it really hinders your ability to produce high quality content. Karima asks, you said you don't do social media management. How do you differentiate your style of content marketing from that? When I say social media management, it's that I'm not doing the actual posting for the client, and I don't have access to their social media accounts. That's what I mean. When I take on a client, I make sure that if there's any social media involved, that they have a VA to handle publishing for them or somebody to do the publishing for them. I will not, I don't want access to your social media account. One, that's like a big headache. Two, I have to like mess around with like VPNs and stuff because, we're not in the same region. And three, once you have access to their social media accounts, any little thing that goes wrong, they're going to eat your head over it. And it's bad enough that they want to, review and edit and approve all of the copy. Now you're going to they're going to be breathing down your neck for publishing on social media. So that's what I mean. When I say I don't do social media management, it's that I don't handle any of the publishing of the posts. I create the content. I coordinate with the virtual assistant or whoever does the publishing, but I will not actually do the posting. And I also don't want to hire VAs in house to do it because it's going to be even worse because then I'll get it like double the headache. And also, why would they want us to manage the social media in house? Because we would have to hire people, train them, and we'll charge a premium on top of that. Whereas they can go directly and hire the VA for $3 an hour. And the other way, I don't actually differentiate between social media marketing and content marketing. I think of it all as content marketing, and like everything is copy and everything is content, whether it's on social media, whether it's on email, whether it's on the blog, whether it's wherever. Naveen asks, continuing from the social media management example, doesn't that come as a deal breaker for them? In the digital space, clients tend to want one person or team to handle all their marketing. Not necessarily. First of all, they don't have to work with you. Second of all, I don't have to work with them. This is how I work. I do what I'm good at, and that is write amazing copy and create highly engaging content, creatives or whatever for our clients. If they don't want to work with me because I don't manage the social media posting for them, no problem. They can hire a social media marketing agency. It's not a big deal. It's a big world. Imran asks, based on what you said about first half of the month doing engagement and second half of the month doing hard sells, you still have CTAs across all your copy, right? Exactly. So yes, we'll mix up the CTAs in the first half of the month. It could be to book a call. It could be to join the Facebook group. It could be to follow us on social media. It could be to reply to an email. But it's not a hard sell. It's more of a soft sell. And we're not really too worried about getting that dialed in. In the second half of the month, we're only selling one thing and we're only asking for one action. Other than social media management, are there any other tasks you absolutely will not do? Not really. I'm pretty flexible with what I do, especially when it comes to creating content and writing copy. As long as I enjoy doing it, I'm going to do it. I also don't care about scope creep so much because I charge premium rates. If a client wants me to do, like if, for example, say a client has hired me just to do email marketing, right? We're doing like 3 emails a week for them, but they are launching a mini workshop like this one, and they want to promote it for like 2 weeks, and they need promo emails, and when they need to email every day, I'll do that, no extra charge. I don't care about scope creep, because really worrying too much about scope creep is how you lose the client relationship too early. My clients, they stay with me for like 1.5 years. I have another client who I subcontract for. We've been working together for 5 years off and on. Another client, 9 months. Another client, 6 months ongoing. So my clients stay with me. It's not worth it for me to nickel and dime them on a few extra pieces of copy here and there than to go for the long-term relationship. Karima asks, how do you find the clients that you want to work with? I am actually a really bad person to ask about finding clients because all of the clients that I've gotten have been inbound because I have been building sort of an online presence for such a long time. And I don't work with that many clients to begin with. Right now, I have 2 active clients with one who will join me, will start next week. So 3 active clients at a time. And for the longest time, almost like more than a year, I've only had 2 active clients at a time. Mostly I find the clients most of my active clients have been, if they come to me as an inbound inquiry, it'll be through Facebook. I have gotten clients in the past through Twitter. I've gotten clients in the past through my email list. And also I have gotten clients through referrals. So Naveen asks, so no lead generation for Dropkick copy? Honestly, no. So the thing about it is I could run ads and things like that, but like even if I did and get a bunch of leads and get a bunch of book calls, like I don't have the capacity to handle 8-10 clients a month. Like me personally, I can handle 4 at the most before it gets really hectic. And then if I add my brother into the mix, like we can handle maximum 8. And even that would be quite difficult. So we don't need to work with that many clients. And we charge premium rates anyway, which, helps us a little bit. We don't have to work with a lot of clients. I can cover expenses for the business with like one client. So I don't need to do lead generation or advertising or paid traffic or things like that. So Naveen asks another question. What is your typical workday like? I've been experimenting quite a bit with marrying creativity and productivity. I am not a very organized person. I don't have routines or things like that to optimize my productivity. I don't even have a to-do list, which is not good. I'm not saying that to impress you. It's not something to be impressed about. The only routine that I have really is my workout in the morning. Either I'll go to the gym or I'll have a trainer come to me. And that's the only routine. The rest of the time, my day is open and I do my work. I have now more meetings, like weekly, like daily meetings for coaching sales, because I've upgraded to like the marketing director position there, and I need to be sort of more in a managerial role. But before that, I wasn't even doing that many meetings. My days were open, and I tend to find, and you'll see some other people have mentioned this as well. If you want creative work to happen, you need to have an open calendar. There is another school of thought where you treat creative work like a job, and you have set hours that you work. Like every day I sit down at the desk at X time and I start writing. What I found is that my ideas come to me when I'm lying down. In fact, when I'll be lying down, I have you see the couch behind me, that's in my home office. Like lying down is work. Like my wife will come in the room and she'll ask me why I'm sleeping, and I said I'll just tell her I'm working, which is exactly what I'm doing, because I am working while lying down. All right, everyone, it's 10:32. We got a nice good 45 minutes of Q&A, and even though there weren't that many questions, I want to thank you all so much for coming to my very first live online mini workshop. This was literally my first workshop that I've done ever. So I want to thank you so much for coming and being a great audience. And I'm going to end the call now, and I wish you all a good day or a good night, and God bless you all. All right, we're done. We have time now for Q&A. So you can drop your questions in the Q&A panel, or you can just drop your questions in the chat. I see Danny's question here where he's asking me what apps or websites I'm using to create these memes. To create the memes, to create the video memes, I'm using Capwing, and also I use it to create image memes. To create a slightly higher quality image memes with our branding, I use Canva. I saw your comment about the rates. In fact, when I hired our junior copywriter, she wanted 2,000 euros a month for daily content, for 30 pieces of content a month. I actually negotiated with the client for 2,500 because I thought that was a little bit more fair, and that would get them working and not having to ask for a raise for like 5 to 6 months at least. Oh, this is a good question. AZ Samad asks, with your own content, are you mainly writing daily, or do you pre-write content for many days or longer beforehand? So me personally, I write and create content on the fly. I don't plan anything ahead in advance. When I was creating all of the content for my clients, that would also be the same thing. I would just create the content as it was required to be published. Now that I'm managing a team, we're a little bit more organized and we have a system. We're generally a month ahead on all of our content. So the junior copywriter, she got all of the content for June written and ready by the beginning of June. And we're going to do the same for July. We might even try to get 2 months ahead. But still, the system that we have right now with the Trello board and things like that, it allows us for flexibility. If an ad hoc post comes up that we want to get out immediately, we can still do that. Hope that answers your question. Adil asks, would you say there's a difference in creating content for general branding versus when you want to do something to make direct sales or impact? How important is the type of audience in this context? I'm not sure I fully understand your question, but I'll tell you how we have our editorial set up for the clients, all right? So how we do this is the first half of the month is almost all pure engagement content. So what we're trying to do is make deposits in the emotional bank account. And then in the second half of the month is where we do our selling. It's almost like a soft promo or a product launch where I basically repurpose. Travis Sago teaches this launch called the Rainmaker launch, right? And it's like a 2 week long thing. So what I did was I repurposed that for social media and our internal, daily email. So second half of the month is this Rainmaker launch, and what we're doing is we're trying to sell. It helps if you have more than one product to sell. So in our case, in coaching sales, we have recruiting for closers, we have recruiting for setters, we have recruiting for VAs, and we have the high level mastermind program that's the highest ticket offer. We have 4 or 5 products that we're selling. So what we do is every month we cycle between those products. This month, June, we're about to start the selling second half of the month, right? And what we're going to be doing is selling the done for you setters that coaching sales routes for clients. So that's how the selling content versus the engagement content work. As someone asked, do you ever repost top performing content again on social media as a throwback, or do you rework older content for the newer followers? I'm asking because I've seen some accounts repost older Facebook videos at a high organic engagement again over time, and I was wondering if you've seen people do that. Yes, I think it's a good idea. In fact, in theory, once you create 6 months of daily content, so that's 180 posts, you probably don't need to create new content ever again, in theory, because what you can just recycle those 180 posts for the second half of the year. However, what's going to happen is it'll work well the first time, second time you post it, it might work less well, third time it might not work so well at all. So it's still good to do, and we do repost a lot of our content. For example, the videos, the short video clips, right? We'll repost those a lot, especially when we are sort of, we don't have that much content and ready to go, and we just want something to post real quick. We'll repost the videos a lot. We'll also repost our long form content whenever we're stuck for content and we need some ideas, right? So yeah, it's totally fine to repurpose or repost content that you've created before. It's not such a big deal. In fact, social media scheduler apps like Hype Fury for Twitter and Meet Edgar for all of the other platforms, they're built on this concept of resharing content that you've already created that's done well before. As someone asks on Instagram, I've seen some videos where they say that having no hashtags does not affect the videos being featured on the explore page. Some say to use all 30 hashtags on all posts. What have you discovered, and what works best for you? So here's the thing about hashtags. I suck at hashtags. I feel like hashtags are like playing roulette and you're just hoping one of them will hit. I have seen this comment about not using hashtags on videos and reels and IGTVs. I haven't tested that yet, actually. I might test it just to be sure, but I can't give you a definitive answer on that. I generally put all of the hashtags in every single Instagram post I do. But then again, I don't have that much success on Instagram. So I'm not the best person to ask. As far as front-end offers that you're driving traffic to through the CTAs, what's working best? Low ticket calls, something else? Generally, all I'm doing for the organic content is on social media, I'm asking them to send a DM. On email, I'm asking them to reply to the email. Because we have, on Mike's team, they have setters. So whenever I can get the super high engagement signal CTAs, I'll go for that instead. The best engagement signal in an email is a reply, right? Because when they reply and I reply back to them, now it goes in their primary inbox and they're not in promotions anymore. The more of those that I can get, I can improve the email engagement score overall, and more of my emails are going to get to the inbox. Okay. For social media, same thing. DMs are the highest engagement signal, and then on top of that, a video DM or a voice note are the highest. I'm going to go for DMs every single time if I can, so that my reach on the account as a whole gets higher. So I'm always going for, those high engagement CTAs. And then obviously what we're trying to do when we get the reply and when we get the DM is trying to, do a triage or a discovery in the chat and then get them booked on a call. We don't have front end offer for Mike Marks or a low ticket front end offer for Mike Marks business. But for Joel Irway, we had the power offer workshop, which was like $37. I would do like 9-word emails to sell the power offer workshop. And then that would bring in like a nice 2K to 7K sometimes sales. And then also we have, if I don't want to think about it and I'm just writing emails like whatever, and I don't want to think so hard about writing a strong CT, I'll do like a super signature. And then in the super signature, we have the different offers. In Joel's case, because he has several tiers of offers, we have the low ticket front end, the power offer workshop. Then we have his mentorship program, which is the coaching program. We have high ticket courses, which is the course, finally his done for you mini webinar funnel service, which is the highest ticket offer. So we just include 3 of those in the super signature. And that's like the lazy man's way to do call to actions in emails, which is, generally quite useful. I stopped doing super signatures though. I prefer to Like I prefer following the rule of one. So I just want to have one link in the email and one call to action. And I feel like that is better for just the overall open rates on the email because I'm not including so many links. And then it's better for the conversion aspect as well. With this particular event, which platform worked best for you? Did any particular one stand out? Let's check actually. Let's check. I can go into Gumroad and see which platform worked best. So direct email and IM worked best, got the most sales. 10.5% conversion rate, 44 sales. Twitter, second best, 12 sales, but 6.5% conversion rate. Got a high conversion rate from LinkedIn and within Gumroad. Gumroad was 22% and LinkedIn was 28%, but not that many sales. 4 from Gumroad, 2 from LinkedIn. So the best channel was I believe my email list, if I'm not mistaken. I've heard of the iOS changes and I need to do some research on it, so I don't have a good answer for this question. The question was, should we be expecting lots of changes with the upcoming iOS 15 change? And my answer is, I don't know. I'm not the most advanced email marketing person. There are better people to look at than me. Troy Erickson is one. Mehran Barakat is another one. Those are the 2 people I would say that, with regards to email marketing, who you want to listen to or follow. So the thing about email marketing, if I could just go on a tangent, the open rate isn't the important thing. As long as the emails are getting to the inbox, it's fine. You don't need to track the open rate so much. For example, Ben Settle, he sends plain text emails, which has no tracking pixel in it. So he doesn't know his open rates. Why? He says because for some reason he thinks it's because it gets more of them get to the primary inbox. And he's been going on for a long time that open rate tracking isn't accurate, especially on Apple devices. So if he's been doing it without any problems and he runs a 7-figure business, like it's not that big of a deal. There's 2 things. There's the aspect of whether you're getting their email address or whether they're giving you the burner iCloud email address, and 2, whether your email tracking pixel is able to fire so you can track the open rate. In both cases, what I think is you're going to look at your numbers from a broader perspective. So instead of focusing on open rate and things like that, you're going to look at, okay, how many total people did I send it to? How many clicks did I get? And then how many sales did I make? And in fact, you can, like on the click itself, you can pass the contact info on the click. So like you can add as a, what do you call those, qualifier tracking, whatever thingies. It's sort of like UTM metrics, but for like the particular email software. You can pass the email address, you can pass the first name, you can pass certain pieces of information when they click on the link. So right then you've guessed, okay, at least the person who clicked on the email, you already know that they opened the email, right? What you're not going to get is the total number of opens. So what you won't see is the people who opened but didn't click, if that makes any sense. All right, guys, let's call it. I want to thank you so much for joining me for this live encore. It was great to have you with me. Thank you for sitting through the 3-hour-long workshop. In any case, I hope you found this valuable and that you could use this, for growing your own brands and your business. Please, if you haven't left a review for the workshop, go to gumroad.com/library, click on the Dirty Content Marketing Workshop, leave an honest review of what you thought of the workshop in terms of giving it a number of stars. So thank you again. God bless you all.